Faki Mentor, the former ANC MP and whistleblower, is decidedly nervous. She said that at the beginning of her testimony today. As I've said on a couple of occasions, confusing names between Fana Hlongwane and Brian Hlongwa, admitting that she had made a mistake in the book that she had written earlier. Then this visit to China that you allude to in 2010, the names that she remembered, she spoke about being on the aircraft, being booked first class, flight being paid for by Transnet, on the first-class cubicle being approached by Duduzane Zuma, and then at some point being introduced to Rajesh Gupta. It took an inordinate amount of time for us to actually get to that point. And Aaron Bates has been sitting in testimony with me today, listening and observing. And you'll agree that that's been the fundamental problem here, is that there's a lot of confusion, and at some point when cross-examination happens, this could be proved to be very difficult.
Yes, and I think the staccato in Faki Mentor's testimony today is something that will come up, not only because it's just made things inordinately slow, but also because it's shown confusion and also her anxiety around testifying. You spoke about her saying very early on, I'm so anxious. I'm not sure if there are any amendments I need to make to my witness statement, something that's usually dealt with first before going into the substance of that testimony. Also hearing about the discrepancy on that name between her interview with the public protector, she was then Thuli Madonsela, and then her witness statement, and also some details that are in her witness statement which are missing from her interview with Thuli Madonsela. Details of what happened on that flight, which was on its way to China for a presidential visit, but stopped in Dubai en route, and that city, Dubai, has come up time and again in the question of state capture. Important here because she says Duduzane Zuma knocked on her cubicle in first class and then introduced her to several people, including who she says she's sure now it was Tony Gupta. She's also described being able to identify other Guptas by jewelry, for example, or their build.
I think she used a slightly different word when she spoke about build, Aaron. Let's go right back to the very beginning. Then I just want to get to that state banquet and the accreditation. But right at the very beginning, really establishing her credentials, saying that often she diverted from the script at times, guided by the Constitution, and firmly believed that she was in a position as a Member of Parliament to hold the executive accountable. And also proud, she says, of the legacy that she left in terms of chairing the caucus.
Yes, she spoke about her history of breaking rank as a member of the ANC at key points. Key strategic points was in fact how she described it, saying, for example, a chief whip in the early 2000s was found guilty by the party of sexual assault of a 21-year-old, and that she was involved in speaking out against that, really characterizing herself as someone who breaks rank when her morals call for it. That's how she's characterized herself, and she's used that as the foundation for her testimony, abrupt and sort of disjointed as it may have been at times this morning.
And then as we broke for a very short tea interval, and Tulas will be going back there, I would imagine, in the next 5 minutes or so, so let's just slip this one in very quickly. Once she got to the state banquet in China, part of the state visit to which, or for which she had been accredited, the words that she used right towards the end, the Gupta brothers seemingly in charge of, I think the word was process or procedure.
Yes, to paraphrase, running the show, and that's exactly what this inquiry is set to look into. Who was running the show in government in South Africa, and not only here on home turf, but also during presidential visits to foreign countries. Her saying it was these two Gupta brothers, and that's something we've heard before. Mcebisi Jonas saying on Friday, when he went into that meeting at the Saxonwold compound of the Guptas, they said the old man will do anything we tell him. So this testimony is crucial in terms of what the inquiry is going to gather, but of course, if cross-examination is allowed, we may well see people completely unpicking what Faki Mentor has had to say today.
And tell us, the one thing that Aaron and I will tell you at this point is that she's been on the stand for just over an hour now. Obviously, the point that we want to get to is Saxonwold and the Gupta compound, but the way things are proceeding at the moment, we're still in China, we've been in Dubai. It's going to take a long time, we think, before we eventually land back at OR Tambo International and make our way to the Gupta compound. That, no doubt, will emerge during the course of the day or possibly even tomorrow. We'll talk to you a little bit later.
Yeah.